the subjects, journals, manuscripts, and other things, they have to adopt it. So we are discussing about that how these first three identify the research problems, establishing research questions, and the research strategy, how they need the continuous literature search as well as literature review also with the help of primary sources, original sources, secondary sources, with the help of the journals related with the topics also. Now we are going to discuss the first identify the research problem. We are starting from the first, the how we have to identify a research problem related with the topic of one research. So how we have to locate the problems? There are some of the things that how by focusing on such phenomena, new opportunities can be explored, treat them as a leverage points. Now you have to seek that what are the contradictions and what are the paradox related with your subject also, and how you are making a research problems by going through the research materials or the journals or the literatures related with your subject also. There are so many problems like there is a mm, growth in the crops productions, but still a starvation continues. What are the main problems? One can identify the problems related with the social, economical, and other aspects also. The second is the perspective and scale. Building different perspectives from the different observations points helps, like Buddhism from the feminine perspective. So there are so many perspectives related with the feminism of related with the Buddhism. In Theravada Buddhism, if you go through the Pali literatures, we will find that how Buddha praises the intelligentsia of the nuns also, and Buddha says that how nuns are bhikkhunis are more intelligent than the nun and than the bhikkhus. Even Buddha says that the nuns or the bhikkhunis are in no way inferior than the monks, and nuns are also able to get a state of arhathood. But in the later text, in Sarvastivada text, if you go through, we have the different interpretations. In Theravada also, if you go through the commentarial literatures, we will find that how there are some interpolations, and this, according to commentators, women are not able to get a state of enlightenment. They cannot get to Buddhatva. And even they cannot go to the stages of the Sotapatti, Anagami, Sotapatti, Sagdagami, Anagami, and Arhat. Even they are not able to go the four stages of the Arhathood also. So these are the interpolations. In later also in Mahayan text, we are also able to know that women are, if women are wishing to get a state of enlightenment, they have to take birth in male form also. So there are so many perspectives, and related with these perspectives, we can make the research problems that how these developments or the interpolations or the other things they have occurred in our Buddhist literature, whether in Pali literature, Sanskrit Buddhist literature, or Chinese or Tibetan literatures. We are also aware that even 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, he also says that women are intelligent, but they cannot get a state of enlightenment. They have to make moral dharmas, and through moral dharmas, if they are able to take birth in the form of a male, then they can get a state of Buddhahood. So that is the how the perspectives are changing time to time. So if we have to make the research problems, we have to observe the perspectives that how the things are changing. Then re-engineering options that how this approach to a situation often provides new opportunities like virtual class teaching and academic performance. We have to see that during the COVID-19, this online classes were started, and how the people came connected with each other, how the classes were done, and how the academic performance were developed. And there are some of the cases in which we are seeing that online classes are not up to the mark of satisfactions. The classrooms, which are lively interactions with the teachers and the students, teacher and the taught, there is another impact on the students also for the character development, for the other things. So how the things they are changing and how the approaches are taking place. Now, in all over the globe, people are thinking that how virtual universities or online classes can be made popular for having more students to get educated. So, in that way, there are some of the perspectives for making or framing the research problems also. How the problems can be identified, the research problems related with our subject, social science and humanities and the literatures also. So the problem is the aspect of researcher, and he worries about, think about, and wants to find a solutions for. A researcher must be inquisitive, know that what are the things which are taking place in day-to-day life, why these are happening, and how these can be solved by the solutions, by hypothesis. So a researcher must be confident and he must be inquisitive to make thinking that how the problems are arising our in day-to-day life. So the purpose is to solve the problem. Here, the purpose to solve the problem is hypothesis. That present solution of any problem is called as our solution of the problem. That is the hypothesis. Again, how the problems can be identified. Here, there are so many things through which you can identify, a research scholar can identify that drawing on the life experience, how the things are happening our day-to-day life, how the events which are taking place in our day-to-day life. If you go through the newspaper, you will find so many events which are taking place and why these are happening. What are the things which are taking place, whether it is social, political, economical, or geographical, how these are happening. We have already seen in the that Buddhism does not believe in the Almighty God. Buddhism says that everything which is happening in our day-to-day life, all are dependent on some cause and conditions, hetu and the pratyaya, and how these events are taking place. Searching these problems is called as our, and why the man, nature, and the environment, how these are causally related with each other, how the things are happening in our day-to-day life. So, with the events which are taking place in and around a personality of a human being, a person can draw the research problems also. There are so many historical events which are taking place, and we can make a research problem. There was a time before 1837 when Brahmi script was not deciphered by Princep, James Princep, and European scholars were claiming that Buddha was not a historical personality. And when this Lumbini pillar was deciphered, and this Sokan pillar, where there is written that id buddhi jate, id bhagavata buddhi jate, that here this is the place where Buddha took birth. And then this historical event was made that this is the place where Buddha has taken place. So there are some of the research problems which are taken place, how the events are taking place in our in ecological manner. Now the researches are going on. Scholars are putting the date of birth 100 years before the present 563 BC. The European scholars are making 100 years before of this how the historical events are taking place on the basis of the moon and the sun, how the events are taking place. Based upon these events, we can make a research problems also. If you go through the newspaper, you will see there are so many events which are taking place, and through that research problems can be also generated. There are some of the events which are visualized by our eyes also. We are witnessing some of the events, and why these events are taking place. We can make research problems related with our research also. There are some of the local issues related with our society, polity, geography, economy also. How and every solutions have been given in the suttas, the teachings of the Buddha have economical problem, how these can be solved, whether social, political, or geographical. All these issues are prevalent at that time, 6th century BC also. The same problems are also taking place nowadays also. How these local issues can be solved by the teachings of the Buddha, we can take help of, and we can make our research problems related with those also. There are some of the problems related with our country or a specific region of the country also in a state or in a particular region, how these events are taking place, how in some of the parts of Nepal, the still living animistic religion, Buddhist religion is still prevalent. How these are taking place, how some of the forms of Vajrayana Buddhism are still in some of the remote places of our country, how these are taking place, the life, how they are following the teachings of the Buddha, what are the literatures through which they are performing their rituals. So these are the some of the problems you can make your research problems. So events which are taking place in around any personality, the research problems only that a researcher must be inquisitive, he must be confident, he must be alert also to what are the things which are taking place. Now there is a internet or Google. By going through all these, materials which are available on the H Buddhism or other sites related with our Buddhism. You can make a research problems related with our any aspect of society, social aspect, whether it is economical or political or literature or any aspect, whether it is engaged Buddhism or applied Buddhism also. Now, how these problems identifications can be initiated. So how the problems which are taken or which are taking place in your in our day-to-day life, how we can start or initiate those problems also. First of all, outline the general context of the problem area. First, we have to that why there is a stress, why there are people who are not happy having universal brotherhood in the society, why the conflict, why the behaviors are changing, what are the main problems. So this is the general context of the general problems of the society through which we can make a outline of those problems also. Then highlight the key theories, concepts, and ideas current in the problem area. The problems in which are taking place, and then how these problems have been already given some of the thoughts by our previous scholars or the in the books also, primary sources or in the secondary sources. So those theories and the concepts which have been interpreted or analyzed by those scholars, we can make a idea of things and how these problems can be concentrated on those problems related with our research, present researchers. So there is a need of enlist basic underlying assumptions and theory regarding the problems. What are the theories which have been already put by our previous scholars? We have to make assumptions on all these things. Write down the identified important issues. You have to make a pinpoint and select some of the our important issues which have been discussed and focus on what is to be solved and what is to be resolved. A researcher must be a specific and pinpointed also related with interpreting or analyzing his research problem also. So here also that he must be very much focused that what are the problems which can be undertaken by a research scholars, not big problems, but how these problems can be solved within a time, a span of a research scholar, it can be given for that. Then how the thoughts and the ideas can be developed related with those research problems. So there is a need of literature search. We'll discuss that what are the literatures through which we can get an idea. But how the literature can be searched, let us have an idea. There use different libraries. Here we'll see in a separate class when we'll take discussion on the literature review, then we will discuss that what are the sources through which we can get information related with our research also. So use different libraries related with Buddhist studies. Take notes, refer sociological abstracts, dissertations, and abstracts. In a very brief manner, I will tell you that there are so many abstracts of the social sciences subject which are being published by university grants commissions yearly, and there are some of the funding agencies in India like Indian Council of Historical Research, Indian Council of Social Sciences Research, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, Indian National Science Academy. There are so many agencies, funding agencies, government agencies, national archives. In Nepal also there are so many Royal Darbar Library. There are so many library through which a person can get, and there are abstracts yearly which are being published by these our national funding agency or national institutes like the University Grants Commission, ICHR, ICSSR, ICPR. So one can go through the abstract of those theses which have been already awarded by our universities of India and others also. Then we can go through the dissertations abstracts which are being published by university news also of different universities, whether it is JNU, Delhi University, or other universities of India, or if you go through the sites of websites of the different universities, you will find that what are the theses which have been submitted. So these can help a research scholar for making the development of ideas, that how the ideas or the thought related with the research can be taken. Then again, there are so many search websites also, and STPP. There are so many archives, National Archives of India, National Museum. In Nepal also, there are so many our national archives or museums also. Through the websites, H Buddhism and others, there are so many websites which are available on the website. It help us to make a research problems related with our research. What are the researches which have been already done? Then locate major authors and institutions active in the area. We have to find out that what are the main scholars who are actively engaged in those subjects in which a research scholar is likely to start his research. He has to make a list of the scholars all over the globe who are working on those subjects also, and they are actively engaged in those researches also. Nowadays in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, and other in Mahayan countries like Taiwan, South Korea, or um, China, we can have so many sites through which we can identify that who are the scholars who are engaged in which disciplines of the Buddhist studies or subjects of Buddhist studies. And then by going through all those research papers and the books, one can have an idea that how these can be solved the research problems also. Then we have to make a contact, whether it is in personally or through the email or through any medium. One can have the modern researches trend which are taking place. Then a person can have an the idea also. Then there is a next actions and interactions, that how the ideas which are taking place in your mind, then how you have to frame those research questions, and then you have to prepare that what are your aims and objectives of the research which you are going to discuss. And if there are objectives, there are 4 5 objectives which are undertaken by a research scholar, and these 4 5 objectives of the research will be their research chapters of the dissertation or the thesis also. And then prepare first draft of your research proposals. And whenever you make a research proposal, you have to discuss with your various teachers related with those subjects also. So in that way, you have to initiate your research proposals also. Now, what are the problems which are background taking place in your research? That whether these issues about the problems to which answers have not been found up to the present. By going through all those research papers and the interactions with the research scholars who have already done on these subjects, how these answers have been found at the present moment, whether they are relevant or significant or not, then the research problems can be identified. Why are these identified issues so important? Any research topic which it can be significant in the interest of nation or the state or any society or any in what way this research topic is going to solve the problems, whether it is a national development or the society development. So these a research scholar has to see that whether the research topic which is going to be identified, whether they are any significant or important in the interest of the society development or the national development, whether they are related with the economic development, in what respect this thesis is going to be contribution for the development of nations also. Then what are the needs to be solved, the problems which are coming to your topic also, and what are the underlying assumptions, what are the problems which can be solved through the research methods, these can be identified. Then the problems which have been undertaken, the research problems, a research problem has some of the subsets questions also. We will discuss that how a research question has some of the sub questions also, and how the sub questions can be created also by a research scholars. Before that, we have to see that whether the problems which are taken by research scholar, whether they are grammatically correct. There are so many uh, uh, options on the internet through which a researcher can correct his language or the statement which have been written, whether they are grammatically correct or not. Then the problem must be complete, unambiguous, and well articulated. We'll see that what is the well articulated and what is the unambiguous. All the technical terms are suitably defined. Whenever writing any research paper, you have to give abstract of those research paper within 150 or 200 words, and after that you also give the keywords related with technical terms which have been taken in the research paper as well as in your thesis or dissertations also. So whether these technical terms which have been used in your research problems, whether they have been suitably defined or not, because some of the terms, technical terms, they are not understood by the readers also. Then division in some problems for better management of the study and the further translations into research questions also. So every research problem has sub questions also, and these can help in solving the research problems also. How these can be started, the research problems, and how it can be make divisions or divisions help us in analyzing of the research problems or any materials. So there is a broad research problem. There is a broad, we'll see that how there is a main questions related with the research and how there are some of the sub questions related with the topic also. Then there are some articulated central research questions. After that, there are some of the sub questions which are associated with the broad research problem as well as articulated central questions also. And these are going to be addressed each sub questions also. And then you have to integrate all these sub questions. Then the broad research problem can be solved. So there is the solution emergence. Let us see that how the research questions can be the main research problem can be framed. So there is an example through which we can understand that how a research problem can be initiated with some of the questions also. So let us see that what are the types of the research questions. So here research questions are to be researchable, or research problem has to be translated into one or more research questions also. So there are generally three questions by a research scholar: that why, what, and how the things are happening in our day-to-day life. Any the questions or inquisitiveness related with the research scholar, these are the mainly three questions which arises in the mind: that why this it is happening, what are the main, what are the things which are happening, and how these are happening. So these are the three questions. What questions require a descriptive answers? You have to write down in a statements also. And how the events are taking place is based upon the cause and conditions. You describe, or you interpret the things in a very general form also. Then why questions ask for the causes and the reasons for the observed features, like seeking to understand the relations between social processes, how ignorance is related with our mental dispositions, and how mental dispositions are causally related with our beyond, that is the consciousness. All the 12 links, we are tracking that our 12 links which are happening our day-to-day life, how these three life time divisions of the process of repeated existence, how they are causally related with these problems. So this is the how, what are the causes, what are the reasons, how, why these are taking place. Then the third, how questions are concerned with bringing about changes. The questions that how the changes can be taken place, and suggesting possible interventions and outcomes. Here, the present solutions of the problem arises in the mind, and that can be undertaken by research scholars. Now, what are the types of the questions we are discussing, all related with our research problems? When you are going to make the research proposals, how the questions are framed. So what are the types of the questions? Here, there are testable questions should help building theories and experiments and carrying out analysis. We have seen that how, with the help of the research methods, we have to make a hypothesis, and how the hypothesis can be tested through our research materials. So this is the testable question. So the questions which are coming, so this is called one type of question, testable question. Then there are second question is closed questions, those having a specific answer that may or may not be known, like what is the trend of the inflation rate during the last 12 months. So it cannot be said in a very specific or pinpointed that what is the inflation. In every month it is changing. So it cannot be tested, or it cannot be open, like. So there is a closed questions, it varies upon the growth rate of the nations also, GDP, gross domestic product. It depends upon the inflation rate of any country or the nations, depend upon the productions, how these are. happening. So these are called as a closed questions also. Then there are open questions like may have multiple answers. A research question has multiple also answers than one answers also. So in that way, they are called as a empirical research. Empirical research means based upon the numerical data, statistical data, or based upon the numberings. So, like example, what will be the expenditure pattern of the middle income households in the Indian metropolitan cities in the next 5 years? We cannot say. There are so many answers of these questions that within the in the next 5 years, what will be the middle income household expenditures? No one can predict it. There may be many answers of these questions also. It depends upon the place to place also, nature and the environment of the people concerned there also. So there cannot be one answer, but there may be so many answers related with this. So the research questions form a research question is a logical statement that progresses, that is the what is known and factual. So any questions arises in your mind, it means that already there is some known facts, and based upon those known facts, there are some of the things which are not unknown, and this is called as research. Research is based upon the things which are already available to us, and based upon the available things, you are interpreting or analyzing things in a different manners. So here the questions also related with the research is also that there are something which are known or factual, or the facts which are available with the concepts or the theories already available, but the things which are not unknown, which are unknown, not known, and they needs validations with the help of research methods and research materials. So there are two forms of the research questions: central questions and sub questions or associated questions. Now, there are main questions like central. There is a main research question is how can the quality of Indian research be raised? This is the main question, that how the quality of Indian research be raised. Then there are sub questions like which are the governing factors? Then what is to be changed in the education system? What could be the incentives? These are sub questions. Now there are so many questions which are arising, that why quality of the education is decreasing day by day. What are the causes and what are the solutions of those problems also? And then if a person who is interested in doing research on Buddhist educations or education system in any country, then that how the quality of Indian research be raised, since these are decreasing, how it can be raised. So questions, sub questions can be framed like which are the governing factors, which are the government agencies like UGC, ICHR, ICSSR, Ministry of Education, which are making policy decisions related with our education system, and how the primary, secondary, and higher education teachings can be undertaken. These all policies are taken by the state government as well as central government also. So these are the what are the governing factors which are taking, whether the policy decisions which have been taken by the government of any country, whether they are suitable or not, and what is the need of the change of those policy decisions which have been already taken. So these can be sub questions also. And what could be the incentives? How the research can be improved by giving incentives, a scholarship, fellowship, or any incentives which can be given for the reaching the education system or reaching the research system in our country. So these are some of the research pointers. Like if you go through the philosophical interpretations of those research problems, then these questions which are related in our existence, descriptions and classification, composition, relationship, descriptive, comparative, causality, and causality comparative. So these questions are pointed over. Like existence, do senior citizens suffer memory loss? There are some of the cases of Alzheimer, uh, some of the memory loss which are taking place in senior citizens. So these are can be undertaken, and the descriptions questions like what are the characteristics of the span of attention? Is it constant? Whether the memory loss or Alzheimer, which are taking place among the aged persons or the old persons, whether they, what is the characteristics of the span of those attentions? Is it constant or they are changing? Then compositions, what elements define the leadership? This can be also a research questions can be found how the things are related with things. Suppose relationship, how the savings are related with the income, how the incomes are distributed among the different divisions of the expenditures, and how the savings is directly related with income or not. The descriptive comparative are instruction booklets with the text and graphics more effective than those with the text alone. Casualty, do multitasking degrade performance? Then casualty comparative is swimming better than the cycling to build the physical stamina. So these are the some of the points which can be undertaken for making research questions. So here there are some of the features of a research questions, like research questions should be well grounded. So there must be some theories which are known, and based upon those facts or the theories, research problems must be well grounded also. There not be any ideas which is coming in the mind of a research scholar. So it must be having some background, or they must have the solid known facts on which the research questions are being raised. Well grounded means that they are searchable questions. If there are no any solutions of the questions, that questions cannot be. So here grounded means that the known facts which are already there, and they can be searched further again and again. So well grounded questions are not too narrow, too broad, nor too challenging also. And again, in practice, it implies inclusion of the key words of the term one can use to search information resources, outline and the print, both to know more about the research done in that area. So generally, in when you are making a research problem, you have to make a list of the keywords or related with your research topic, and based upon that, how these are defined, how the key terms or the designated terms they have been defined or whether they have not been defined, you have to search that how these terms can be defined with the help of the materials also. So there are questions which are problematic also. There are some of the questions which create problems and the materials which are not available. So the even problematic questions can be classified into three, that is the too narrow, too broad, and too challenging. These are the three types of the problems. Like, does India have a social security system? It is very narrow questions. When was the emergency declared in India? Like these questions, everybody knows that when emergency was imposed in India. So these are very narrow questions. It cannot be defined in a very proper manner also. So the research questions must be challenging with the solutions, with the help of the research methods also. Like these questions have a yes or no answer or can be replied by one word also. In the examinations also, there are some of the questions which are put in the end of the question paper that you have to answer these questions in a single sentence or single word also. So they cannot be said as a research questions. Research questions cannot be too broad also. Like what is the history and value of philosophy? It cannot be uh, answered in a single research paper or a single thesis also. There may be so many years which can be undertaken for the answer of these questions also. So there is no single work. There may be uh, project work with the help of so many researchers. They can solve these problems well. To challenge a problem questions, why is the Indian college education so lopsided? So this question is too opinionated. There are so many opinions or the views on this, that why college education is so lopsided. It cannot be answered in a single answers also. And these are based upon the people's feeling and would need a very large study also. Then examples of the research questions. Generally, we see that how in the schools nowadays midday meal is being introduced in all the primary schools. So now the topic can be taken that a study of midday meal scheme in the municipal schools in Varanasi during 2015 to 20. There is a period in which a research scholar has to find out the how midday meal scheme in the municipal schools of Varanasi is going to be analyzed. So research questions are like this. What are the health and academic benefits of the midday meal scheme in primary and middle school sections of the municipal schools in Varanasi during the time of 2015 to 20? So this is the main topic, and the research question can be framed like this, like health and academic benefits of the midday meal scheme and the middle school and in the primary schools. These are some of the research questions which are being taken. And then see how the sub questions are also being framed. Like sub questions are narrower questions, and that together answers the research questions, the main questions, whatever. The example, like a research question, what are the health and academic benefits of the midday meal scheme in primary, middle schools, sections of the municipal schools and Varanasi during 2015 to 20? Now there are three, four subsections, sub questions related with the our main research question, that what are the standards of the health and academic performance adopted by the concerned public authorities in Varanasi. The second question is there a difference made by the midday meal scheme in the health and academic performance of elementary and middle school sections of the municipal schools in Varanasi? Then, third question, does midday meal supply a certain amount of nutrition value? And the fourth, how does a midday meal scheme operate and in what way can it be strengthened and expanded? So see how the main questions that what are the health and academic benefits of the midday meal scheme in primary and secondary school, how the sub questions can be framed. So this is the duty of a research scholar that every research scholar is supposed to frame the research main research questions and the sub questions also on the topic related with the questions also. So good questions are having the characteristics. They are clear questions. They are pinpointed or specific. They are answerable. They are interconnected with each other. The sub questions are interconnected with each other and they are substantially relevant to the society also. So here there is a sub questions could be converted in hypothesis if justified. So based upon the research problem, hypothesis, which is the present solution of the research problem, can be framed by the research scholar. So this is the good questions. It must having the our characteristics. The questions, research questions must be very clear, very specific, pointed, answerable, and they are interconnected with each other and substantially they are relevant or important to the society, economy, geography of the state or the country itself. So we'll discuss the remaining points related with our research problem in our next class. So let us, do you have any questions related with our lecture today? You can ask the questions. Let us finish because it is going to be 9:30. So we are still having 2-3 minutes. If you have some questions, you can ask. Whether things are clear to you all or not, what we are interacting, is it clear to everyone or not?
Yes,
If there
sir.
are,
Yes, it is clear.
if there are some questions, you can ask.
Professor.
Yes, sir.
I have one question, please. Being as a scholar, PhD scholar, we should have to get touch with other scholars as well. But you have told that locate major author and institution active in the areas. Then how can we can get touch with them? Could you provide us the some connections?
Nowadays, there is a internet and Google. You can search the name of the teachers and name of the books and scholars also. Every details are given on the net also. If you are searching any scholar of the university on the university website, the details of the teachers are available. The emails are available. You can request the concerned research teacher or the scholar who have written some of the research materials or the research papers related with your topic. You can ask him for sharing those questions and the research problems which have been framed by you. You can also interact with them that whether these problems can be also solved or not. So you can initiate, all details are available. If you are searching on the research topic, the name of the teachers will automatically come on through the Google. If you search any topic, you will get the details of the teachers who have written the research papers.
Okay. Is there any common ground, common forum for the scholar?
There are some of the forums like H Buddhism, which is more popular, and there is a discussion group also. Some of the groups related with any topic, they are interacting with them, and anyone can join with the help of the teacher concerned, those who are taking in that group. There are so many groups which are interacting. They are making the questions weekly or fortnightly. The groups are making discussions. You can join those questions also if you have time. So there are so many groups. You have to search it on the Google and you can find out.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Any another scholar?
Thank you, sir.
So again, we will meet together again in the next class. So I think in this week there are only 2 classes which have been allotted to me, and see in the next week I will meet you again.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Take care.